Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. Today's talk is going to be on autoimmune flare. So, what are autoimmune flares? So, off the bat, these are when your immune system attacks itself in a very punctuated situation. This could be after a major mental, emotional stress. This could be after excessive exercise or an excessive physical stressor. It could be after a big food stressor. It could be a gluten issue, a gluten sensitivity issue. It could be an alcohol or sugar issue. People that are definitely prone, like that already have active autoimmune issues, obviously are going to be the most prone, right? Because they already have the genetics that are already activated. I see this very frequently with ulcerative colitis patients. I see it frequently with Crohn's patients as well. These patients are more sensitive where raw foods, a little bit of gluten, a little bit of dairy, a little bit of stress, a little bit of poor digestion can literally create the perfect storm and cause their immune system to rev up. So now if that happens, what's the first best thing you can do? Figure out what that stressor is and control the variables. So off the bat, if it's a food, figure out where that food's coming from. If it's a gluten, or if you're eating too much raw foods, people that have digestive issues, it could be too much raw food. Look at refined sugars, look at refined alcohols, look at those big foods off the bat. If you're feeling significantly bloated and gassy, maybe look at some of the fermentable foods as well. And then on the next note, what can we do about it? So we avoid some of the triggers. We can add in some supplements to help cool and calm down the inflammation. So we can do my ginger tea. We do some juiced ginger, a couple ounces of ginger, teaspoon or so of honey, half a lime, squeeze, hot water, and you can sip that. It's very anti-inflammatory and soothing on the gut lining. What else can we do? We can also do some liposomal curcumin. In my line, we have one called Curcumin Supreme. It's liposomal. The benefit of liposomal is that you increase the absorption by about 6 times. So it really maximizes your body's ability to absorb it. So that's really helpful as well. We'll also do healing, soothing nutrients. We'll do amino acids like glutamine and glycine. Glycine is really high in bone broth, by the way. Glutamine. We'll do aloe and DGL and healing, soothing, anti-inflammatory mucilaginous herbs to really help tighten up and heal and seal the gut lining. The anti-inflammatory herbs are really big. We can even increase fish oil a little bit too. If we have a severe autoimmune issue, and let's say you've been inside frequently, you may want to add in some vitamin D to help kind of balance out the immune system. So it's really going to be dependent upon the big triggers. It's going to also be dependent upon how you've been managing stress, how you've been eating. It'll also be dependent upon your ability to sleep and repair and recover. If you're really catabolic, meaning your adrenals are already in this fight or flight state, you have a really hard time relaxing and winding down and getting into this anabolic healing and building up mode, it's going to be hard for you to switch. And then if we have this excessive issue with poor sleep and poor recovery, that's going to hurt. And then if we add in excessive exercise on top of it, right? A lot of extra cardio. You're really walking out of the gym feeling worse than when you walked in. You really aren't able to recover. That's going to really put 2 strikes against you. Any questions so far? We're doing a live chat here, so I'm really excited. Any questions, feel free and chime in. Want to keep the chat to autoimmune flares if possible. All right, let's dive in. Jeff Wilburn, did I get your GI map test back in? I think the lab discarded it. I saw my staff emailed you today about that. Hey, Spivey. Hey, T-Bone. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Dale. Dale, it's been a while. How you doing? Casein is my trigger for my eczema. Always. Yes, I know, Dale. You had a lot of autoimmune issues, and I also remember you were renovating your mold issue in your house. How did that go? Give me some feedback on that. Joshua writes in, just listening to an awesome podcast today from High Intensity Health about why raw vegetables cause autoimmune flare-ups. Bingo. Now, typically, that's going to be a bigger issue with people that already have this prone ulcerative colitis, Crohn's issue going on, and the fiber and remember, the anti-nutrients in the plants can be a little bit inflammatory and can really start poking holes in the gut lining. Once you start getting mucosal barrier opening, that really opens up your immune system to all these things and can really rev up your immune system. So great comments there. D writes in, what did your last GI map test show? I'm still in the middle of a protocol right now, so I'm still waiting to do it. Moon Goddess writes in, Dr. J just got diagnosed with IC. That's interstitial cystitis. That's a bladder infection for everyone listening. Holy cow, this is the 3rd autoimmune. What can I do for it? I'm flaring now. Let's figure out what the triggers are. Are there any foods that you added in? We may have to look at the gut barrier and see what's going on from an infection standpoint, a bacteria standpoint. There could be something going on in your gut where that needs to be rectified. Can autoimmune be completely reversed? So, yes and no. So, a lot of times it's just semantics. So, you have autoimmunity, you have the genetic predisposition for it. That will always be there. Can you silence the epigenetic stressors that may activate those genes? Yes, you can do that. It's kind of like if you have a peanut allergy, can you get rid of the peanut allergy? No, but you can avoid the peanuts that trigger the allergy. Does that make sense? So, we can look at the underlying stressors and really control them and keep them under wraps, and that can significantly prevent that autoimmune condition from expressing itself. So yes. Yeah, so Moon Goddess read and HPA is overloaded. So I mean, I have a lot of patients just like you, Moon Goddess. I had 2 last week with IC. Got to look at the adrenals, got to look at the gut, really got to dial in the diet too, because IC patients are very sensitive to certain foods. I think also citrusy ones too can be a biggie, even though they're kind of paleo approved, right? Ba, 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 ba. Oh yeah, Spivey made one good comment. Autoimmune, fasting has helped some people's autoimmune flares, and I see this too. Why? Why does autoimmunity help? Number one, you increase the cellular autophagy mechanism, so you do a lot of recycling of proteins, very anti-inflammatory. Number two, a lot of autoimmune flares start where? They start in the gut. So if we give our digestive system a break, that can calm down the immune system. Again, it's a short-term type of modality, not long-term. Let me keep on rolling here. Joshua writes in The Allergy Solution by Dr. Leo Garland. He made a case how a lot of autoimmune can be by internal non-histemic allergic reactions. Histemic, do you mean like histamine? Can you please elaborate a little bit more on that? Adam writes in, does high iron levels, 200 ferritin, relate to autoimmune problems? Well, if you're a guy, not necessarily, because guys don't menstruate like women do, so they have the ability to accumulate iron. That's why it's good to give blood and or do a couple of lab tests, that are going to involve, 4 or 5 plus vials, so you can really lose some of that ferritin. That's helpful. I got to get my blood test done really soon. Does infrared sauna help myocarditis and autoimmune recovery? Well, I mean, number one, if you're not getting any exposure to the sun, getting some of that infrared radiation can be helpful. I don't think you make vitamin D from that because it's not a full spectrum. But there's some really good benefits on the detoxification side and cellular energy side as well. Yeah, Jeff, get your GI map done. Make sure you reach out to my office and we'll get that done, and then we'll be able to check in really soon. I'm looking forward to chatting. Dale writes in, almost done. The Reno mold is gone. Doing bulletproof sinus rinse daily and no sinus infections for a long time. Still taking your supplements. They work. Great. Awesome, Dale. Actually, I was just thinking about you a minute ago. I just did a sinus rinse before I jumped on this chat. I had a little lingering post-nasal drip that was causing me to cough a little bit. And I just started doing a little bit of xylitol sinus rinse, and it knocked out that post-nasal drip, and my cough is gone. It was the last lingering thing. So I was able to knock that out. Dread Reckon writes in, I use broccoli sprouts for the past 8 weeks and has been so beneficial for my gut health and fatigue. Well, I mean, broccoli's got a lot of good nutrients in it. I'm curious, did you cook them or steam them? I think you get more nutrition out of your broccoli and your sprouts by at least steaming them. Breaks down some of that hard to digest fiber where you can access some of those nutrients. And number two, a lot of good things in there. Sulforaphane, DIM, diindole-free methane, really good things that help with estrogen metabolism and really rev up your detoxification system. A lot of questions just came in here. Give me a sec. Where are we at here, y'all? Okay, there we go. Yes, Moon Goddess. Yes, gut is full of SIBO. Exactly. That's a big one. Interstitial cystitis and autoimmune SIBO, big one. T-Bone writes in, have you heard of the Doctor's Data Comprehensive Stool Analysis? How do you feel about the company? I like Doctor's Data. I think they just bought Labrix recently, or Labrix bought them, one of the two. But I do not run their stool test. I think it misses some things. I have a couple other companies that I use instead, but I see a lot of patients that have that test done. So, I mean, I like it. It's got some good markers of inflammation. It's got calprotectin on there. It's got lactoferrin. It's got IgA. It's got a lot of butyric acid markers, some yeast markers. It's good. I think it does miss some things from time to time. Any triggers for histamine? Well, histamine, the big thing is gut inflammation. I mean, if you listen to my podcast with Yasmina Yakelenstan, who actually passed away a few months ago, she talks about histamine issues are become a bigger problem the more inflamed your gut is. Now, the question is, what are the vectors of gut inflammation? They're different for everyone, right? It could be food for one person. It could be emotional stress. It could be low stomach acid. It could be like someone else said, where they were talking about on Muscle's podcast, raw plants being a problem there. And then you can look at Dr. Gundry's book, The Plant Paradox, to see more of that. Susan writes in, my mom was just diagnosed with autoimmune ulcerative colitis. She's in a flare with blood and stools. What's best for her to eat? So it depends. If she's really bad with ulcerative colitis and she's losing blood like that, she may have to go to an ER and get on some prednisone and antibiotics to stabilize if it's really severe. But the first thing I would do, honestly, is I would get her on a GAPS intro template and or an elemental diet to just take all the stress off the gut. Again, this is not medical advice. This is purely for your all's entertainment purposes. But seriously, make sure she gets looked at. That's concerning. I have a very strict diet and I'm having a hard time with cravings. If I need to cheat, what should I cheat on? Well, just make sure, number one, if you're having cravings, make sure you have that checklist. You're having high quality proteins and fats every 4 to 5 hours. Number two, have some really good vegetables and or low sugar fruit if you feel the need as well. And then have your treat after the meal. So tonight I'm going to have like 88% dark chocolate. After I'm going to go, I think we got Delmonico steak sitting out. I'm going to do some roasted broccoli with avocado oil, which is a higher smoke point. So we can roast that around 425. And that's what I'll have for dinner. I got a kombucha actually right after this live with you all. I got my ginger kombucha and a Topo Chico sitting on me while I grill my steaks. I'll sip on my booch. And that's what I'm doing tonight. So I'll try to do lower sugar fruits. And then I'll also do potentially like berries or strawberries with some unsweetened coconut yogurt as well with some cinnamon on top. Cinnamon's great because it kills some of the cravings and helps with insulin sensitivities. See here. Keep rolling. Joshua writes in, did you look up the book, The Plant Paradox? Yes, I just referenced that a minute ago. We're on the same page. And then Brand have said 88% dark chocolate. I like endangered species. I like that one with the little cougar on the front. It's a good one. If not, Theo makes one with a little bit of quinoa. It's 85% though. And again, quinoa, it's a pseudo grain. So just make sure if you're really gluten sensitive or have ulcerative colitis, stay away from it. Do autoimmune patients always need to avoid nightshades? Not necessarily. We do recommend doing an autoimmune elimination where you pull out all the nightshades, but then at some point, once you're very stable and feeling good, we'll add some of those nightshades back in one at a time, steam, cook, sauteed. Really want to make sure it's easy to break down, and then we'll see how you do. And we have a specific diet reintroduction protocol that's on my website. Let me just jump on and give you a little Facebook love over here. Sorry for y'all, I haven't been responding over here. The screen's a little bit too small for me. Why am I running low on energy in the afternoon? Look at the adrenals. Look a little deeper. Charlie writes in, hit up Jay. Have done or can you do an episode on migraines? Absolutely. I have some stuff on there. Almost all my podcasts are fully transcribed, Charlie. So head over to the website, Justin Health, and just put in like a keyword of anything you want and see what's up. Jonathan writes in, what to look for if consistent low blood pressure, any common causes. Adrenal dysfunction and low minerals, sodium, chloride for sure, potassium, magnesium. What happens when you really have no appetite? You're in a constant fight or flight state. You probably have adrenal stress, and that's knocking out your appetite. Why? Think about it. Evolutionarily, if we were running or fleeing from someone, would we want to be worrying about being hungry or thirsty? No, all your blood goes to your extremities so you can fight and flee. It's going away from your digestive system. Therefore, you're going to feel potentially more nausea, have more appetite. Got to get to the root cause of the stress. Candace writes in, do you think multi-collagen can help reduce the creakiness of my knees? See here, I'm getting self-conscious due to the loud sound noise, for example. Yoga, stairs, etc. Yeah, I mean, it'll help, but I mean, that's still kind of a reductionistic mindset. We still want to get to the root cause of what caused the creakiness to begin with, and that could be diet, could be other gut stuff as well. But I think it's a good first step for sure. I think that's really good. Let me keep rolling. What's your opinion on Microbiome Labs prebiotic? Is that are you referring to Megaspores company? Let me know. Adam writes in, is seborrheic dermatitis considered autoimmune? It's typically considered more yeasty. It's more yeasty. I'm treating the yeast overgrowth and 3 deeper small parasite infection with Evan. Whoa. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. So 3 parasites and the yeast. Evan, at the moment, in your experience, how long does it take to clear? It could take anywhere between 2 to 4 months. Again, fingers crossed. Just keep your diet and lifestyle really good. Make sure you're digesting food well and managing stress, and that will definitely help. Okay, here. New office ready soon. Well, my downstairs, not yet. Almost there. Almost there. You see here a couple other questions. I think I hit all of them, y'all. Anything else you want to run by me? Let me know before I jump off. I'm heading over to the grill. Get those Delmonico steaks. So another question. Polonico 2 writes in, what are the causes of low stomach acid? So an autoimmune flare, because there's so much inflammation and stress, it's very possible that your stomach acid has decreased. So taking some digestive support or pre-digesting your food can definitely help. Again, it could be adrenal stress, it could be gut stress, it could be emotional stress, many different causes. I have a great article on this topic, Polonico. So take a look at justinhealth.com, type in um, causes of low stomach acid. Could acne be considered autoimmune? Potentially, but typically acne is going to be an insulin slash gut bacterial issue. Okay, excellent. Any other questions, y'all? Let me know. I'm jumping off here in a sec. All right. I'll be back here tomorrow. We'll do another topic potentially tomorrow. I've just been in a little Facebook, YouTube kick here. So feel free, give me that thumbs up, give me lots of comments, put your question down below. I'll take a look at it and come back to it later on tomorrow morning when I'm back in the office and we can get to it. All right. So thumbs up, share, make sure you subscribe. One last question. Sheila writes in, after doing candida clearing more, I have allergies and seem more reactive to foods than ever. Not sure if candida is still there. It's systemic. Well, people that typically do that here, Sheila, I find they come after the gut and they don't work on the diet yet. They don't work on the adrenals and getting the inflammation better and getting the digestion better. So you may have to just slow everything down, work on more drainage, really work on the diet first, and then come back to that and go a little bit slower. All right. Awesome. What are your thoughts on people eating raw meat? I mean, I just think it's questionable. I think part of evolutionary man is able to pre-digest foods with fire. So I think as long as you don't cook the crap out of your foods, you actually access more nutrition by cooking it. I know Von der Planets was the guy that made that really big. I think if you're going to do it, you got to make sure your HCl and your enzyme levels are like rock solid, and you got to make sure the meat quality is absolutely amazing, and do not do it with pork. All right, y'all. Hope that helps. Have a phenomenal night. Take care. Bye.